All right, welcome back. Josh Peter here for From the Stands, and today I'm joined by the man who will be making his BKFC debut April 26th, none other than Gold Coast's own Haze Hepi. Haze, it's a pleasure to have you on today, mate. I really appreciate your time. Obviously, it's Sunday over here, so I do
Yep.
appreciate you giving me some
Thank
time
thank
today,
you very
man.
much. Man. Thank you
No,
very much, bro. No, I appreciate being asked to come on the show.
nah,
Looking forward to April.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Look, first thing I wanted to touch on isn't April. It is a post you put up middle of last year, and I found it really interesting. It was about your 6 year layoff from boxing, and I'll read the quote that you put, and I'll insert a photo here so people can see what I'm talking about. But you said 3 years ago we opened a boxing gym. I was 152 kilos and hadn't fought in 6 years. Being in the state I was, I felt I had no right to tell anyone how to box or get fit, and felt that my knowledge had no merit or value coming from a fat nobody. I wanted to know during that 6 year layoff, what did the life of Haze Hepe look like?
Um, very different to today. Um, Man, I was just going from job to job, man, anything I could do, warehousing. I was doing stonemasonry a little bit for a while. Um, but I wasn't happy. I was just barely surviving, you know what I mean?
Mm,
Um, so there was no training because the layoff was because I had a 12-6 tear in my labrum. So like my shoulder was just floating.
mm,
And I needed surgery. And yeah, with wait lists and whatnot, couldn't get in there straight away. So yeah, just had to try and piece together life day by day, you know.
mm,
Um, yeah, it wasn't too exciting, bro, really, to
No,
be
okay.
honest.
No, it's the story. I love the story though. The story of someone who can get through that and get to where you are now is incredible. But I wanted to turn to obviously boxing. I watched you box. I watched at the No Limit event in 2023. I saw you fight Troy Pilcher, and then the decision
Hmm.
was made to go to bare knuckle. Was when was that decision made to transition to bare knuckle, and did BKFC's popularity have anything to do or influence of that decision?
No, so before I even came back to boxing, and there'll be a couple of people at the gym that can back this up. I had stated I want to get a bare knuckle, and this was just before BKFC really started blowing up.
Hmm.
It's something I'd always been interested in, um, and yeah, like it was something that I said probably going on close to 3 years ago that I'll do boxing. I have a couple more boxing fights, see how they go, try and sort of half make a name for myself, and then I want to jump over to bare knuckle.
Hmm.
And yeah, pretty much almost how I said it those 3 years ago is how it's all playing out right now.
Yeah.
3 years ago, I said I'll do probably another 2 years of boxing, and then I'll go over to bare knuckle, and then I said within 2 years I'll be the world champion.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's what we're aiming on now. That's what we're
Mm.
aiming for. Currently ranked number 10 on BoxRec in the world.
Hmm.
Um, I'm fighting Steve Banks, who's 4 wins, 2 losses. The only people he's lost to is the former world champion and Leonardo Perdomo, who's
Hmm.
I think he's like 7-0, 7 knockouts in the first minute. So they're the only two people he's lost to. So it's a good sort of debut.
Mm.
Um,
Absolutely.
and should place me relatively well um, to carry out that goal I had 3 years ago.
G'day guys, Josh here for From the Stands. I'm just here to interrupt this video quickly to let you guys know about the sponsor of today's video, TrainAid. TrainAid and their proven line of supplements, including their signature product, TrainAid Hydration, are used by combat sports stars all over the world. Many UFC and boxing world champions are all using TrainAid to help fuel their workouts. TrainAid have been kind enough to give us a big discount code for all of our viewers to use when you guys shop online. If you use the code FTS15 at checkout, you'll receive 15% off all supplements and apparel on the TrainAid website. Head to trainaid.com or click the link in the description of this video.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get to Steve in a second, but when you saw the rise of BKFC, did it motivate you more to like this is because there was never really for someone, 5, 6, 7 years ago, if someone wanted to become a bare knuckle boxer, there was no big promotional platform that could elevate you and make a career out of it, like these guys are right now. Now you have BKFC come through. Did seeing their popularity and the rise of guys like Mike Perry and Eddie Alvarez and these guys that have come over and helped lift the sport, did that have any extra motivation for you as to like, okay, that's my goal, I'm getting there?
Um, Man, I can't say it did really. It was always my goal. It sort of made me go, fuck, I've made the right decision though. You know what I mean? I've gone,
Yep.
okay, cool. I am on the right path and I am sort of, jumping onto that at the right time. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't say it was like, oh man, I better do this. Like it was always the goal. I had reached out to BKFC really early. Like I think when they were still doing fights in Thailand, I'd reached out to them.
Hmm.
Um, and never got anything back from it. Um, and then a promotion over in the UK, Bad to the Bone, they reached out to me and they're like, hey, would you ever do bare knuckle? And I was like, fuck yeah, that's what I've been trying to get into. So,
Mm.
um, yeah, yeah, so it's all sort of played out well, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's talk about Steve Banks. He's a big guy, 6'5", 290, as you are, but obviously heavyweight's a big division. But
Yeah.
what do you? Obviously, you said like I did have a look at his record too. Only lost to Mick Terrell, and then one other guy had it coming off a win though a month ago.
Yeah.
What do you know about his style, and what do you think about your style that you can sort of impose on him?
Um, in the heavyweight division, I think I'm the best boxer in the BKFC.
Mhm.
Um, the most tactical, um, uh, probably one of the fastest as well. Um, so I think I bring a lot of trouble to everyone. Um, I think this fight will be mine to sort of showcase that level. Um, but the reason that Steve Banks' fight came about was when I was fighting in the amateurs. I qualified for the World Juniors at 18. And for whatever reason, Australia chose not to take me. And a guy called Joey Dwayko won the World Juniors that year. So I had always wanted to fight this guy sort of as a, like, Australia, you were wrong for not taking me. Um, and then I saw that he had signed to the BKFC. And I was like, man, this is fate. Like everything that I'd wanted is all sort of, man, it's all falling in front of me right now. And I saw that he had had his debut against Steve Banks. So I
Mhm.
watched that fight eagerly, wanting to fight Joey. And Banks ended up stopping him in the third round. So I was like, oh, yeah, forget that. I was like, I want Banks now then. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and that's how it happened. So
yeah.
I said straight after his fight, he won a fight on Knuckle 5, which is one of the biggest sort of shows in the BKFC, the Knuckle franchise, I guess you'd call it. But yeah, as soon as he won, I just reached out. I was like, I want Banks. I want
Yeah,
Banks on my debut. Yeah, so
yeah,
just a sort of little thing I can put in my back pocket and be like, yeah, I did sort of fuck
yeah,
yous.
yeah. You got that one back. I like that.
Yeah.
One thing I saw you post the other day that I really really liked, coming from a world today where um, trash talk sells fights. It's you said you can support me without disrespecting my opponent. I really like that, and I just want to know where does that mindset stem from in regards to your opponents?
Man, like I can't hate on someone who's trying to provide for their family the same way I am. Like
Mm,
I don't understand that mentality. That is, my opponent is not my enemy. I don't hate him, and I don't have to pretend to hate him to cave his head in. This is
mm,
just a fucking job to me, man. This is what I do. This is what I was born to do. This is what I'm built to do. I'm just going to work like everyone else is, and
mm.
so is he. Um, it will not stop me from looking like I'm trying to take his life. It is what it is. That's just how I am, man. I can't yeah, I can't say it sort of comes from anywhere. It's just how I am. It's just who I
Yeah.
am. Um, but a lot of things that have helped. I'm working with a guy called Matt Vidal, who does hypnotherapy, and a lot of those things have sort of helped clarify my mentality coming into fights and stuff like that. Um, So yeah, no, it's yeah, I can't say it's something that I sort of actively try to do. It's just who I am, and yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I love that you met McGregor late last year and you presented him with that
yeah,
gift and everything else. That was really, really
yeah,
cool. And for those that don't know or haven't seen the photos or know of that, would you be able to give that story on sort of how that first interaction happened? And I'm sure Gabriel had something to do with it. Your manager, Gabriel, is a great
yeah.
guy. And I just want to know how that sort of story came about.
Well, yeah, like I was looking at going over to do some work with Jimmy Sweeney,
Hmm.
who's like the bare knuckle king. I think he's had like 33 wins, 4 losses. Like he's just phenomenal.
Mm.
Um, and I had posted up in my gym of Sweeney like 5 years ago.
Yeah, wow.
Um, and yes, I'd sort of toyed on going over there to sort of learn some stuff from him, and then saw that there was that event in Marbella, and spoke to Gabrielle, and I was just like, man, let's try run it and make it all sort of work together. And Gabrielle was like, yeah, sweet, come over. We're gonna have Connor here, yada yada yada. I was like, sweet. And then I was getting a kakahu made, a korowai,
Hmm.
which is that feather cloak. And yeah, just mentioned to the lady at Kiwi Girl Creations that I'd be there with Connor, and she sort of said, "Oh, like I'll make another one." So I was like, "Yeah, perfect, beautiful." Because I mean, tikanga and stuff like that is a big thing for us, and that's sort of like our I don't even know the English word, like our kaupapa, our sort of our traditions, our culture, our values,
Hmm.
and giving taonga or gift is something that's it's very big in our culture. So I thought it was very fitting. Um, I guess a lot of people that interact with Connor look for what they can take from him,
Mm.
but that's not sort of how Maori people work.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, man, that's how that came about, and he was very respectful, very respectful. The way he received the taonga. Um, was it was mind blowing, like for a man on his level to accept it as graciously as he did mean a lot. I did get a lot of comments going, oh, he just threw it in the bin, or he did this or he did that, like and that's not the point of giving a gift, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like whether he did or didn't, that's not the point of giving a gift. If I had any sort of like I'll give you this, but in order I want something back, or I
Yeah.
want you to appreciate this tonga as much as I appreciate it, then it's not a gift, it's a trade.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to trade for something. I'm not trading for something. I don't give gifts in the hope that I get something in return from it.
Mm.
That's not the point of gift giving. So um yeah, those comments are null and void in
Mm.
my eyes. Whether he kept it, whether he threw it away, it doesn't matter. There was the fact that I wanted to give him something from my culture,
Mm.
from one warrior to another.
Yeah, absolutely. What now? The other day, you were at that press conference last week, and he obviously gave you a very good rap. And for he's one of the most, if not the most influential combat sports figure of the last 50 years at least. I
Mhm.
mean, he's transcended mixed martial arts and boxing and everything else. He's now mainstream. Mothers, fathers, aunties
Yeah.
know who he is. So he's extremely big. So for you to be sitting next to him and receiving that praise, saying that you could be a contender for the heavyweight belt fast and all those sort of things. What's that like sitting next to him, being in front of a crowd and sitting next to him, hearing him say those things about you?
I'll be honest with you, bro. I was like, this is my first like world stage presser. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So as I got caught up to the stage, I'm just thinking about not tripping over. I'm trying not to fall over and make a dick of
yeah,
myself. So I didn't hear half the stuff he said until I watched it back the
mm,
next day, and then I was like, whoa, shit,
yeah,
like wow,
yeah,
this is a dude that I've watched, growing up like 10 years ago.
mm.
My little brother has a tattoo of him. You know what I mean?
Oh wow,
Like just how influential he was in our sort of
mm,
lives during our teens and stuff like that, or early 20s.
mm,
Um, so to look back and go, fuck, like that dude's talking about me, like it was sort
yeah,
of like
mm,
crazy, man. But yeah, and the fact that I was jet lagged as well, like trying to get up to the stage, jet lagged and just not making a dick of myself, tripping over wires and shit.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, didn't really hear much of it.
yeah.
That's why the question afterwards. I'm not sure if you saw it, but the question
Yeah.
afterwards, I had no idea they were talking to me. I was like, oh, he's talking to me. I was like, what was the
Yeah,
question?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I tell you what, it's really cool because I grew up watching him as well. I'm 28 this year, so I was
yeah,
18 when he sort of won the title, and then when he became double champion and his
yeah,
whole historic rise. So to see someone, I know you're extremely proud of your Maori heritage, but to
yeah,
reside on the Gold Coast like myself, to see someone from the Gold Coast being there is pretty cool. I will say that
yeah.
it's quite a cool
Oh,
feeling for myself
100%,
to see.
bro. And yeah, man, I'm a proud dual citizen. You know what I mean?
Mm,
I'm both a citizen of Australia and New Zealand. I'm very
mm,
proud of that fact. Um, and I hope that that Australia does feel like they're part of my journey because they're a massive
mm,
part of my journey. All my
mm,
children were born here. You know what I
mm,
mean? I've lived here for 30 years. I'm
mm,
34. I've lived
mm,
on the Gold Coast for 30 years. So
mm.
it is a massive part of what molded me to what I am today. So
Yep.
um, yeah, I hope everyone sort of understands that as well.
Absolutely. Now, the BKFC has announced they're coming to Australia this year.
Mhm.
A venue and all that sort of stuff hasn't been announced yet, but I wanted to know what your thoughts are on that expansion coming to Australia because it's going to give these guys, guys and girls growing up, another avenue, another platform, another mixed martial art, if you will, to involve themselves in. If say they're a really good boxer and they just can't quite crack the big time, maybe there's an option where
Like
they
me.
come to BK.
So
but
pretty much like me.
but like, well, there's lots of guys. There's look at a guy like Mike Perry. He was in the top 15 of the UFC, and now
Yeah,
he's fighting guys like Jake Paul and getting paid millions and millions of dollars. And his career is his stock has risen exponentially from the
yeah.
BKFC. So, what are your thoughts on BKFC making its way into Australia and I guess
I
that
think
door
it's
opening for other people?
I think it's great. I think it's great for Australians and the people in the Pacific.
Mm,
Um, I don't know if it's the smartest idea for the BKFC. I feel like we're going to take it over, man. To be honest,
mm,
like I look at the boys that we've got here, like you said, that maybe aren't going to make it to the top end in the world in the boxing scene, or the MMA scene, or the Muay Thai scene. But if we bring them over to BKFC, I think we're going to cause trouble for the whole world, man. To be
mm,
honest, like you look at the talent that we have here in bare knuckle. Once they learn a couple of things that you can only learn on the job, you can only learn bare knuckle doing bare knuckle.
yeah.
Um, you can't spar that way. You can't do this and that. You have to learn it on the job. Um, Once they start learning those things, it's going to be massive for sure. I mean, I know Lucas Brown has stated that he's interested. Elijah Salesui,
Mm,
Mark Hunt.
mm,
There are a lot of boys here that have shown some interest and that I think will do really well.
mm,
Um, Even like you've got a couple of like, obviously like I mean imagine like even Chloe Chaos, Ebony Bridges, stuff like that.
mm,
You
mm, mm.
even from a female scene, it'll be massive, man. Obviously we've got the bare knuckle queen here, and Rowdy Beck.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it'll be massive, and I do think Australia is going to be one of the top end of let's say quality cards here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Is that a card that you would like to compete on, being on that Australian card later
absolutely,
this year?
absolutely, I'll fill a stadium. I'll fill a stadium, man.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Hayes, look, man, I want to leave you with one last question. I'll let you get out of here. Um, During that 6 year period, and stonemasonry and all those different things you were doing to get by, to see where you are now, could you have pictured where if you could see a short film on what your life is like now and showing yourself back then, could you have imagined that? Or I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, have you had the chance to smell the roses yet and see what you've accomplished?
Um,
And would the person back then have believed that you could get to where you are?
nah, no, man. Like I've always been a dreamer. I've always dreamed big, and this was always obviously the dream. But to be honest with you, bro, I thought my ship had sailed.
Mhm.
Just being that it was 6 years, I made my comeback at what was I 31, 32, just before I turned 32. I'm now 34, so the 2 years has passed since the comeback, and yeah, like I thought my ship had sailed. I did, and now I'm here, and I'm like, oh fuck, well maybe I've got one last roll of the dice, sort of thing, you know. So I'm putting everything into this now, because of that fact.
Yeah,
you know, because of that fact. I didn't. I always wanted to be here. Always thought I deserved to be here, but I thought my ship had sailed.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm all in now, bro.
Yeah. Well, Hayes, look, man, I love seeing a success story, but I love seeing one where, you know, someone gets knocked down or has hurdles and then fights their way back to where you are now. It's incredible to see. I'm very happy for you. And I wish you all the best on April 26th, man. I can't wait to see you go out there and put on a show. I'm looking forward to the entrance, the walkout. I feel like there could be something special coming
bro.
there.
There is something going to be very special there, bro. Very
Yeah.
special. We're going to put the world on notice, man.
Yeah, I can
I'm
imagine. I'm really
very
looking forward. I'm looking forward to it, man. So I wish you all the best in the preparation as well, and the lead up and everything
Thanks
else,
so
and
much.
then of course on fight night. And I would love to talk to you again after the fight, man.
Awesome, bro. Appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Good, man. Thanks, man.